Hi everyone, welcome to Fixing Boats and Stuff. And while we are usually fixing boats, today we're going to do something a little bit different. We are going to build a pond boat. It's a great toy for kids. Here is the finished product of what we're going to build. It is modeled after a 25-foot Maine lobster boat, and it's made out of solid pine. Here is a version of it before it gets painted, before the keel gets attached. It also features a steel keel. Which means it will always right itself. Even when it capsizes, she will right herself. Keep your kids happy. Here is a version of the boat that has been well loved that I made many years ago for my son, and he has taken it to many beaches, rocky beaches, and beaten it up. And the pine is super sturdy, and she keeps running like new. So today's video is the first in a series of how you can build a pond boat. So I hope you'll join us. Hi everyone. So today we are going to work on a pond boat. When my son was born, I started building boats for him so he could play at the beach with them. And here are 4 of them, and you can see they are well loved. Here is a 33-foot Egg Harbor. Here's a 20-foot Aquasport. Here's a 25-foot Lobster boat. And here is the Titanic. I don't know how long the Titanic is, but pretty long, obviously. And we are going to concentrate on building this 25-foot lobster boat. So what I did is I went online trying to find line drawings of a boat to build. That's what I did for each of these builds. And here's what I found for a lobster boat. And I printed it out. And then I brought it to a copy machine and enlarged it to the length that I wanted to use, and it was based on using 1x4 lumber, so it had to be able to fit on a 1x4 piece of wood, so it couldn't be any more than like 3¼ inches wide. So there they are. I have enlarged them and mounted them to a piece of cardboard so that I can trace them. All right, so we're going to use pine to make the boat. What I discovered is that the lighter the wood, the better. So first boat I made out of poplar because I wanted it to be a little sturdier. But it turns out that made the boat pretty heavy, and it floated very low. Didn't get anywhere near its waterline. So I ended up with pine, and that's worked out really well. And so I got 2 pieces of 2x4 here. They are about 12 inches long, I think 11¾ inches long. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to glue them together to create the blank that we're going to make this hull out of. So here's one that I made out of actually a 4x4 with no seams on it. Couldn't find a 4x4 today to work on. This is one that I made out of 1x4s, and you can see there's a little bit of one of the joints there is starting to give way. But also know that this boat was used many hours on rough beaches and it has had a good life. But so what I'm going to do is going to use 2x4s, and you probably know that the edges of 2x4s are rounded over. So I took it to my jointer. You could do it on a table saw, and I cleaned off 2 sides so that they have nice sharp edges, because my width of my boat is just about the width of a 2x4, which is 3½ inches. So I didn't want to lose any by having those indentations where the boards joined each other. So also notice that the growth rings go up here and they go down here. So we're going to put it together this way so that the growth rings are going in opposite directions. So we use Gorilla Glue. I've also experimented with lots of glues. Gorilla Glue seems to be the best. So we're going to go with Gorilla Glue. So I'm going to put Gorilla Glue on one of the boards. And then we're going to clamp the whole thing together. I've got 6 big C-clamps that I'm going to use. And I'm going to work on getting the Gorilla Glue spread everywhere. It's coming up pretty thick, slowly. So I'm going to pause the video here. Alright, I've got a nice amount of Gorilla Glue spread out. Now I'm going to spread it out on the board with this little brush. It's really thick stuff. We need some more. Make sure we get all the edges covered, especially midships here, because we know the bow is going to get cut off, those corners, and a little bit of the stern of the boat, but midships, we got to make sure we've got a good glue there. I'm going to put a little bit more Gorilla Glue on. Keep spreading it out. So these boats have been a big, big favorite of my son's for years. He'd bring them to the beach with us and hook a string onto them, and he would drag them all over rocky beaches, and so they get all beaten up, which I kind of liked because it showed use and love. Okay, now for Gorilla Glue, we've got to make sure one surface is wet because the glue is activated by water. So I've got some water here and a paper towel. We'll get this side wet. Now we put our two pieces together. And then we're going to clamp. And I'm not worried about protecting the wood, not denting it with the clamps, because there's still lots of shaping that needs to take place. So any marks that I make will get sanded off or planed off later on. One. Working hard to make sure the sides are lined up appropriately, so don't lose any width. Alright, two, getting some good squeeze out of the glue. It's not going to budge. Alright, now you did get a different clamp. And I'm probably going overboard on the clamps, but you can certainly do this with fewer clamps. You could also just do this with a 4x4, and you wouldn't have to use any clamps at all. good squeeze out of the glue. And let that set up for about an hour. All right, it's been about 2 hours now. Let's see how we did here. Yep, Gorilla Glue is nice and hard. All right, looks good. I'm going to take a chisel and get rid of this excess glue. Comes off pretty easily. Watching this side for some reason. Alright, so there we go. There's the blank for our boat. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to cut a slot in the middle of the boat that's going to accept the keel. So this is just a piece of flat stock steel that we glue in there, and that makes sure that the boat always rights itself. So it's impossible for this boat to capsize. Well, it can capsize, but it always rights itself because of this weight that we're going to put on it. So what we do is we're going to do on the table saw one cut right down the middle, and then we will put our template on and start working on the shape of the hull. So the next step is go to the table saw and create a 1/2 inch deep, 1 blade width cut right down the middle. Alright, so now we've got to put our fence, we're going to cut this slot right down the center of our blank. So blank is 3.5 inches wide, so we need 1 3/4 inches from our fence. 1 3/4. I'm going to put it right in the middle of the blade. So there's a 1 3/4. 1 3/4, and we want it to be up 1/2 inch. Or it can be 1/2 inch deep, our little slot. Close. A little higher. All right. There's 1/2 inch. Perfect. Right down the center, 1/2 inch deep slot for our steel keel that we'll install. All right, next we're going to work on the shape of the hull. So here is the overhead view of the shape of the hull, and I'm going to place it right on the center of our slot that we created for our keel, and I'm just going to trace it. And then we'll head over to the bandsaw and start shaping the hull. All right, there we go. Now to the bandsaw. All right, new blade made all the difference. All right, good start. All right, now we're going to trace the profile of the boat. So I'm using this profile piece, and I'm not including this bit down here because that's going to be the keel of the boat. So it's like that, and I'm not going to include the cabin either. So we're going to do those in separate pieces. Alright, now I'm just going to connect this line with that line. It's something like a batten to create a nice fair line. Hold on a sec. Alright, I'm just going to draw freehand a fair line between where I left off from here to there. See how we do. There we go. Alright, now back to the bandsaw to cut out this line. good basic shape. Looking good on the sides. Now we've got to create this bow to be pointier, like this bow. All right, we're getting there. Still got a ways to go, but we're getting there. Starting to take shape. All right, I got that shaped pretty well. I'm using really pretty coarse sandpaper, and it's pine, so it sands pretty quickly. Now we're going to work on the top. Smooth that out a bit with random orbital sander. All right, not bad. Getting there. Now, just cleaning up my hand various places. Got some 220 grit sandpaper. Probably be a little bit coarser. Take the edge off these corners as well. Get rid of any sharp edges. Hi everyone, in the next episode of Building Your Own Pond Boat, we are going to concentrate on building the cabin and the pilot house. So I hope you continue watching. I hope if you liked today's video, you will give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more great videos. Thanks very much.